What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Now, with the horror show at Extreme Rules a little over a week away, what will the WWE do to promote the show? Join us now as Wrestlelamia analyzes the 10th July edition of Friday Night Smackdown, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Renee and Jon Moxley are COVID-free, WWE fans are furious about the Insensitive angle, Tony Khan gets backlash for pointing out AEW's win, Ricochet calls out Edge, the latest return date for WWE live events, and a release superstars one final match. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Now, as always, Wrestlelamia isn't going to recap the matches, but look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of last night's Smackdown. Oh boy. Let's start off with the good. As if there was any good, it was probably the average. As number 1, advancing angles. Now, there wasn't much to appreciate about last night's show, but the WWE does deserve credit for advancing angles, including the Sheamus Hardy feud, AJ Styles vs Matt Riddle, Braun Strowman vs Bray Wyatt's swamp match, Nikki Cross's war against Bayley, and Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro's violent bid for respect at the expense of the New Day. Sadly, our description of the build-up was the height of the excitement, as the execution was half-baked. Number 2, some decent wrestling. As bad as the Miz TV segments was, there was hope that the Jeff vs Miz or Morrison match would make it all worth it. Regrettably, the match itself was passable, but nothing special. Jeff can still go in the ring, and while he's obviously not the Jeff Hardy of 20 years ago, the Miz should have been able to get a good match. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and the opener was a bit of a letdown. Likewise, there's no question that a Banks-Bayley vs Cross Bliss match is going to be entertaining, even if you've seen it about 35 times before on SmackDown. While Wrestlelamia is enjoying Nikki Cross's angle against Bayley, the tag team match was repetitious. Likewise, Cesaro and Shinsuke vs the New Day had its moments, but the match never had time to build to anything, even the angle driving their match at Extreme Rules. Number 3, is Lacey turning heel? While Lacey Evans did a remarkable job going from the obnoxious sassy Southern Belle to a lovable sassy Southern Belle, there's no doubt that she seems to work better as a heel. At one point it looked as if Evans was going to win the SmackDown Women's Championship, but the WWE has been intent with pushing Bayley as the Blue brand's top female. Still, a heel turn after a face turn just a year ago could be a bad sign, as it suggests the WWE isn't sure how to handle her character. Number 4, Banks and Bayley are carrying SmackDown, and it's quite clear. It's pretty clear that one of the most entertaining aspects of SmackDown, or at least in WWE television as they show up on every brand, is Banks and Bayley. While some might think that they've been overexposed, we totally disagree. They still bring a lot of entertainment to the show. And it's quite opposite as having Charlotte Flair turn up on every brand and wanting a title shot. And number 5, adequate announcing. Not saying taking chicken shit and turning it into chicken salad didn't apply to last night's show, as even the normally adept team of Michael Cole and Corey Graves couldn't do anything to salvage the show with some entertaining announcing. Graves did his best, but it wasn't enough, and Cole was probably longing for the days when he sat in a protective glass box. But that was the good. What about the bad? As number 1, an offensive opener. The Miz TV segment with the Miz and Morrison mocking Jeff's personal demons was painful to watch, not so much because it reminded fans of Jeff's real-life battles with substance abuse, but because it wasn't entertaining and it showed how clueless the WWE writers are when it comes to exploring real-life problems. Now, we've long given up on criticizing the WWE for this offensive storyline, but if they're gonna make Jeff's very painful problems into a storyline, put some damn effort into it and make it more than a one-dimensional disaster. Number 2, 4-flusher. Last night's SmackDown was the classic example of a 4-flusher, something which looks to be promising but turns out to be a bust. They had 4 potentially excellent matches on paper, but they turned out to be disappointments, although Banks vs Bayley vs Cross and Bliss's biggest problem was the 4 didn't do anything to make this one any different than their other encounters. But that was the bad. What about the downright ugly? Whew, SmackDown karaoke. Now, we may give something of credit towards WWE's writers for digging up a number of superstars fans may have forgotten still work for the WWE, but SmackDown karaoke was painful to watch and even more painful to listen as Tamina, Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke and Naomi showcased their skills at singing WWE superstars' entrance music. the segment seemed like something from those awful Diva Search segments from the Ruthless Aggression era, and we couldn't just put this in the bad, we have to put it in the downright ugly for such reasons. Now it's quite perplexing as to why WWE is doing such a thing with its women's division. After all, we've heard wild rumors of them trying to do another Evolution pay-per-view. And this is what's going to build up the women for that. A karaoke showdown. The other thing that really saved this segment, if we could say it's a save at all, is the talent of Naomi. They're just being wasted and wasted every week on Smackdown. That is if we see Hayley's comet in the sky and she actually manages to show up on the brand. Give these women something they deserve. Put them in a fatal 4-way match for the #1 contendership after Extreme Rules. That would at least give them a little bit more dignity. Last night's episode of Smackdown really hit a new low. We're not sure, this actually came dangerously close to being one of the worst Smackdowns in history. We're just wondering what Vince's face is going to look like when the ratings come out. In fact, we've got a picture. Here's that Will Smith meme that's recently cropped up. That's Vince's face. Anyway, that was the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of last night's show. Now, let's move on to the news. As our first story looks at Renee and Jon Moxley are COVID-free. Well, we do at least have some good news in the world of wrestling finally, as Renee Young, who was diagnosed with COVID last week, is, according to the Wrestling Observer, now fully recovered from the illness, and that both her and her husband Jon Moxley have tested negative for the virus. Now following this, we should see Renee Young returning to tapings, as well as Jon Moxley defending the AEW Championship against Brian Cage at the Fight for the Fallen show. Next up, WWE fans are furious about the Insensitive angle. Now WWE has just announced that they'll have a bar fight between Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, and like we mentioned before, we're not kinda thrilled that they're using Jeff's personal demons as a story angle and making fun of it. Apparently other fans agree too, as they had a number of negative tweets on their social media page, as some pointed out that this was the grossest angle they've seen in a long time, and others pointing that Jeff should join AEW as he'll receive more respect there. Hopefully WWE will take these comments into consideration and make this the last match between the two, with Jeff going over and getting redemption. Next up, Tony Khan gets backlash for pointing out AEW's win. Now, NXT's The Great American Bash went head-to-head against AEW's Fyter Fest show this week. The ratings came in and NXT was the one that prevailed, winning the viewership numbers, with NXT bringing in an average of 759,000 viewers and AEW with 715,000. Now this means that NXT have managed to defeat AEW 3 weeks straight with the numbers, but these numbers specifically don't matter to Tony Khan, as Khan would take great joy in saying that they won the 18 to 49 demographics, which is more important than the average viewership. And he's right, AEW has indeed beaten NXT with those numbers. However, Khan would even take to Twitter to say, "My favourite thing about some of the frequent replies to my tweets is how the 18 to 49 demographic is these people's best friend on Mondays and Fridays, and then they act like they never heard of it on Wednesdays." He then went on to say, "If anyone thinks I consider being a top 7 show on cable anything but a huge win, they're incorrect. A win in the demo is a win in the business, and this is a business. I know the industry wasn't talking about the demo as much 20 years ago, but that is what drives our revenue today." Khan then even tweeted a chart of the demographics, similar to what Jericho has been doing in the past few weeks, again taking a W for AEW. But these tweets didn't go down well with fans, as one tweeted, "Just take the L, dude." Another said, "Tony, just take the L. Last week it was Jericho with the spreadsheet, now you? Imagine Austin, Rock or Vince tweeting about ratings back in the day." Khan then responded a few days later saying, "Thank you to all who helped make the Fyter Fest on AEW a huge success these past 2 weeks, especially fans, wrestlers and crew. We finished in top 7 in the 18 to 49 demo in the past 2 weeks. Plus last night our best 18 to 34 audience since March, number 2 last night in the 12 to 34 males as well." But the negative responses continued, as one wrote, "Is Meltzer and Alvarez typing for you?" Another tweeted, "All excuse wrestling," and one just simply replied, "Stop tweeting." Now, Khan is right. AEW has smashed the demos when it comes to the 18 to 49 demos, as it is important and generates more revenue for the company. However, Dax Harwood of the FTR summed it up perfectly. Guys, if you're bringing one company over the other, you're completely missing the fun. I watched both shows from last night, and we are lucky lucky as fans get the wrestling we get. In 1997, I loved the Hart Foundation and I loved the NWO. I hope you guys can do the same. It's a shame that this war is not looking at the wrestling that's been delivered on television every week, but more so the numbers that are being delivered each week. Yes, Tony Khan should take great pride in winning those demos, but tweeting about it isn't really doing him any favors. Neither is it doing any favors for Jericho. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Ricochet calls out Edge. While Edge is currently on the shelf thanks to his tricep injury, the Rated R Superstar has already thrown out a list of wrestlers he'd like to face when he returns. There are also a number of superstars who would love a match with the WWE Hall of Famer, one of them being Ricochet. Ricochet recently tweeted, "Hey Edge, I'm ready when you finish with Randy. I can't wait. Hashtag on this day." Edge seems interested and replied, "Maybe not on this day, but I'll look forward to it, my friend." Would you guys like to see King Ricochet battle Edge? Let us know in the comments down below. But speaking of Ricochet, congratulations to the former United States Champion on his WWE 365 Ricochet special, coming in at number 2 on the WWE Network this week, harking back to the good old days when Ricochet actually had a push. Next up, the latest return date for WWE live events. One rumor flying around as to when the WWE will resume running live events with paying fans comes from a report from the usually reliable WrestleVotes, who's reporting, being told with SummerSlam off the table, WWE is now aiming for the end of September as a restart for live audiences, to be decided. You may recall that the WWE had scheduled at least 2 events for the end of July, but the promotion cancelled them after Florida experienced a spike in infections from the pandemic. With the US experiencing spikes in a number of states, the WWE may find itself having to settle for shows at the Performance Center for the foreseeable future. And finally, a release superstar's final match. Last but not least, recently released WWE superstar Lio Rush may be retiring from the Squared Circle. According to Wrestling News, Rush released a video on Instagram to that effect. In the video, he was counting down to the announcement by stating years, months, weeks, days, minutes, and seconds. He captioned the video with, "It's been an amazing ride. 20th July 2020, I will be announcing the final match." Rush also asked fans who they would like to see him battle in his last match. Who would you like to see him battle? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.